The episode starts with our MC Michio waking up where he's barefooted, and he notices some shoes kind of off in the distance by a chair, and he puts them on and he looks at his status and realizes that he's received a thief skill level 1. And he remembers that before he came into the game, he bought some like bonus equipment and starts to equip them. The first one being Randall, an OP sword, and a ring of determination that increases physical power. So he walks out of the barn where he notices a bandit attack. He kind of debates on whether he should help or not, but he eventually does, and he runs up to the first bandit and slices his head off, and then he stabs one through the neck. And as the bandits are running away, he chases them and cleaves one in half at the waist. After the battle, the village chief thanks him and lets him go through the spoils of war. As he's doing that, he starts to identify the bandana, but he notices that it's not the original one that the bandit was wearing, and he tells the chief, and the chief's like, oh, we'll look into it. So as Michio is sitting in the room that the village chief gave him, he tries to log out but realizes that he can't, and he starts to panic. He says that this world feels too real, so it may actually be reality and not just a game. And then he realizes that he actually killed people, not just NPCs, and he kind of starts to debate that and, run it through his psyche and all that stuff. So the bandit is caught, and the village chief asks, how shall we punish him? Our MC says that just do whatever the village rules are. He's like, I'm not going to get in the way of that. The village chief doesn't really want to do it, but he go ahead and does it, and he turns that guy's status into a slave and says that he'll be sold off. The village chief gives Michio the bandit's intelligence cards and tells him that he can go to Vale, which is the largest town around here, to sell the bounties and his spoils of war. So as they get into town, Michio turns in the bounties, but the head knight lady is being difficult and wants to see Michio's intelligence card before handing over the reward. But it all works out, and he eventually gets it. And so as they are riding to the slave traders to sell the slave, the cart driver tells him about the shadier shops around the town, and one being a brothel, where I assume is where all the budget went. I can't show it, but the fact that there's an uncensored and censored version tells you all you need to know. I, of course, watched the uncensored one because I'm a man of culture, but you can definitely tell this is where the money went. It's like, pray to the ecchi gods that we got this, because it seems like it's going to be good. Anyway, they meet up with Alan, who is the master of the house. After the transaction, Michio gives the village their portion of the money, and the driver rides off. Michio then realizes that he doesn't know anyone, and doesn't know where to go, he doesn't know the language, he doesn't know anything, so he's very isolated. However, Alan calls for him, asking if he can take some of his time. So Alan brings him into a fancy room and asks him if he's an adventurer, and that he should look into purchasing some slaves. More specifically, his house deals in sex slaves. And while Michio is fantasizing about all that stuff, a maid brings some teas in, and the boobs jiggle a lot. Every time she moves, they're just jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Honestly, Michio notices that, and he takes a liking to the maid. And Alan tells him that she's currently his most highly recommended slave. So Michio starts asking some questions about if they ever betray their master. Alan says no, a slave that loses their master usually follows them to the grave. And then he also asks, what about, running away? Alan tells him that the runaway slaves are demoted to bandits and can't complain about being killed, and their possessions can be legally stolen. Alan also tells him that the girl is wolfkin and a beast warrior, so she'll be useful in the labyrinth, and tells him that because she's a wolfkin, there's a big advantage to getting her, which is humans and non-humans can't reproduce. He also says that she's innocent and a virgin, and finally, she consented to having sex with her master. So Michio obviously asks how much. Alan tells him $600,000, but after recommending her so aggressively, he brings it down to a little under like $423,000. Michio says that he can't afford that, and as he walks out of the room and meets Roxanne, Alan kind of leans over and tells him, "Hey, I'll give you 5 days to get the money to buy Roxanne." And so obviously that's where this anime is gonna go. The thing he's gonna do next, things like that. He's gonna set it in the end. He's like, "I'm gonna get Roxanne," and then that's where it ends. Kind of my personal thoughts. I think it's gonna be really good. Originally, I thought it was gonna kind of be a trash anime, but it seems like it actually has like a budget behind it and good animation. I mean, I didn't see any CGI, and there may be some later. I don't know. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It looks good. You can definitely tell what's going to happen, things that are going to happen. You can tell where the budget went and things like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it will turn out.